Wow, now we're into almost total white. Looks like snow out here. Kind of old snow, not good powder.
That's what I saw on my sonar.
And there are a couple of big boulders up in the upper right-hand side of the screen that are also white.
Okay, I have enough tether, co-pilot?
Yes, you still have some. I'm giving you a bit of room to run.
Okay. First, let's check out this brown patch here.
Watch lead pilot.
Go ahead.
Okay, could we take a look at that boulder in the upper right-hand corner of the screen?
Yes, I was on my way there, then I saw this trail with the brown patch, so I was just going to take a look at that on
yeah,
the way.
the brown patch is probably fecal material, I'm guessing. But yes, we can take a look.
Get in there, Carl.
All right, video, if you can zoom in. That's
Actually
good.
not sure what that is. From far away, it looked more fluffy. So anybody on shore think this might be something biological on top of the seafloor? Does look like it's actually superimposed on the material underneath.
Sirius is definitely still has moved closer
Any
in
guesses?
the past couple minutes.
Yeah, it seems like we got some residual.
Okay.
You can see the upslope part of this
You called that an
exposed
ROV, or
material
53?
has collected a lot of
56,
coarse
15
grains of sediment that have
Oh,
slid
okay.
down the slope.
So we're at the
So all those
lower.
little black
I was thinking
grains of
15 to
material
20
at the
from
top of
start
the
to
screen
Sirius stopping, so
are
we're only at,
abutting
14.
whatever this is.
Oh,
It's
what did I do here?
exposed on the surface.
Okay.
Clear?
Come wide, yeah.
Nobody
broke the
on
spreadsheet.
shore has a guess. I just wondered if it could be
Ah, there we go.
the remains of an encrusting sponge.
See, it has this kind of trail leading to it. I don't
It
know if
does have a
that's
trail
coincidence.
that follows, or it follows, or follows it up the slope.
I think we could do that next move.
Okay. Do you still like this bearing?
So we are
Yeah.
Works for
getting
me.
the ship
The
moved
dive-in
upslope
waypoint
so
is
that
more
we
like
can
250,
continue in
but,
that
I
direction.
do believe
And
that's
that will
fairly
help the
arbitrary.
Sirius vehicle,
All right,
which is
repeat the
attached
last
to
one.
the ship by the lengthy cable, which is then attached to our D2 ROV by a 30-meter cable. So we move the ship,
Bridge,
then
ROV
Sirius
nav.
moves, and then the ROV has enough slack to move around on the seafloor.
So this is the largest object for
We like to
50
repeat
meters
the last
around.
move.
That
40
is
meters,
true.
bearing
Shows up
260
sonar.
degrees, decimal 2 knots.
So we're going
I've
to
got
take a
something
look
weirdly
at this
shiny in my
larger
fisheye
rock.
there, right in the middle.
Fish.
It was like flashing.
Maybe the fish. Okay, video. Can go in.
Boy, as we zoom on this, it has a lot of holes in it and a whole lot of detailed structure. Chris Kelly, is this a piece of
Okay.
reef limestone?
Boy, I have no clue. It sure is different and it sure is interesting, but, you know, who knows what's in there and what this is.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that right there, those circular patterns, they sure look like fossils to me.
They look like it to me, too. I certainly am no expert in this sort of material, but you can see, you know, there are lots of holes in this that have curved
Oh, there's
surfaces.
center screen now is something.
Oh, yeah.
As we look around the surface of this boulder,
Yeah, look at that one right there. That's definitely a fossil. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
center.
yeah, so I don't know if we can get a closer zoom
Is that
video.
max
Can
video?
Yeah, it is.
we're at max
Okay.
zoom. Okay, thank you.
I can hop in a little closer if there's interest.
Oh, that
Yeah,
actually.
I'm assuming that this is some species of rudis right here. It certainly's got all those striations on it
Yep.
that are characteristic of bivalves.
Yep.
Coming out a bit.
Okay. Yeah, that would have been a little shaky.
So going out a bit, maybe look around just a little bit more before we leave this in our wake.
Yeah, there's, see the ribbing right there, right in the center of the screen right now.
Do you want to go in?
Okay.
That looks
Sure.
Definitely fossiliferous.
Oh boy,
Something there
you
to
are
right
so
of
right.
it.
Look at the ribbing on this. That's definitely a bivalve shell. Wow.
Wanted.
Anybody else online think they might know what genus this is, species, or any details? Nicely ribbed shell.
There's another one in the
Well,
back.
these images, there are people that specialize in the rudista, and I fully intend to try to collect a lot of these stills and send images to these
Okay.
people. There's a guy in the UK, Peter Skelton.
Okay.
He's published a lot on rudis,
Take a look.
and there's some others as well. We'll see.
More or less,
See if we
I
can
should
figure
just
this
go as
out.
close as I can to everything.
Okay,
As
thanks.
soon as we zoom in, we want
Okay,
to
thank you,
like
pilot.
it.
I think that's enough for this one. Let's find some more.
Do you want to mark that?
Yes, what would you like to call it?
I don't know.
Les
Fancy rock.
Watling
Half
has
meter
written in our chat log
carb-
that his
half
guess
meter
is that it's a scallop.
Fossil holder or something?
Interesting undulations on the surface right now. Don't know what could have caused that. And the slope seems to be a bit gentler here.
Watch lead nav.
Go ahead, Nav.
When you get a minute, could you explain to me what we're trying to accomplish in the midwater work today? Trying to plan our timing.
Oh, good question.
Okay, co-pilot, I'll start coming ahead.
Copy
I
that.
think we're going to have to, yeah, let's wait until Shirley gets
You've
back.
got,
She has
you've got
the
as much tethers I can
details
really
on
give
this
you right
too.
now.
Yeah,
Thought that
so you
might
can
be the
start
case.
coming up
Thank you.
with a touch if you want.
Oh, okay.
I know you came down to give me more tether, but now you're creeping up on me.
Sorry, Roland, I missed that. You wanted me to ask that on OKEX when we talk about it later? Right. The issue is I'm not sure when we should leave the bottom, so I'll talk to Shirley about it. Okay, thanks.
So we're just desperately searching the web for scallop evolution and things like that, and it's just sort of an interesting side note that the scallops actually were around in the Paleozoic era, 375 million years. So they're this whole group of bivalves, of course, is extremely old. So I don't know if that is a scallop. Seems to be a bivalve for sure, but again, the distinctive shape and the ribbing may be informative to possibly date that rock.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Go ahead, Survey 1. Yes, I'm just trying to figure out exactly how long our mid-water stuff is going to take so I can plan our time off the bottom. So can you describe to me what we're trying to do today in the mid-water?
Video, will you zoom on this new kind of rock in the middle?
Okay.
Yes.
Looks like there might be a stalk on it too, actually.
Oh, nice. Nice.
I wonder if we could look at that
here we
kind
go.
of holy section too that's further up after we look at this.
Interesting.
Did you hear that request from Shore?
No.
He had something further
Okay,
up after
sure.
this guy.
I didn't hear you. Can you please repeat what you just said?
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we've got a lot going on in the rock right here.
Okay.
I have no idea what we're looking
yeah,
at, this thing
I'm
sticking
gonna-
up, but
so
I
if we
guess
plan to
I
spend
think we're
10
seeing a
minutes
lot
on
of
each of those,
fossils
I'll figure
here
a
in the
few more
rock.
minutes to get
And
Yeah.
then when we're done with this, whatever this
Is
thing
that
is,
maximum video?
if we could pan up a little bit further, we'll see a very holy section of this rock, and that'd be interesting to look at too.
Okay, will do, Chris.
Yeah, let me look at our off-bottom depth.
That's max.
4750, I'll call it.
Alright.
Hey, now if
Okay.
we get a chance, what was that last move?
A little
When did it
extra
end?
time. I have us off-bottom at
If you come out partial
1425.
video,
I'm not
I'll look
ruling
at
out
it.
the possibility that this could be fossil
That's
too.
good,
I don't know what we're looking at.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. So the material that we
Sure.
have in the screen right now,
Looks
is
like there
this
might
what
be
you
an
wanted to look at,
anemone in the
Chris?
middle of that rock.
Yeah.
A little bit over to the right.
Okay, to zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, let's zoom on the
Great. Pilot,
squishy thing there.
This is watch lead.
Sure, thank you. Co-pilot, I put that move in at 0012.
Okay, Chris,
should
I think we're
be-
going to look at this little critter first,
finished a
because
long
this
time
is
ago,
the
and
first
you should be
living
moving for another,
thing we've seen
let's
on
call it
this dive.
A bit more zoom.
And then
Okay.
then we'll take a look over
So
to the
The
that's-
end
right.
was like at 18 or so.
The end of the ship move was at 18, yes.
Copy that.
So, folks at home, what do you think this little animal is on this brown rock?
It's an anemone.
Let us see. It's an ACN, the dead stalks.
I think this is tons of fossil debris, frankly. All of these the shell material.
Oh, but what is...
Come out of it. This
Come out.
is all the matrix.
I guess full. I'm not sure what they're looking for. All right.
So
Okay,
it's some
pilot,
type
we-
of anemone, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure which type.
Pilot, we wanted to look at the blob
Thanks, sir.
to the right of that big lump of brown stuff where we saw the rock
we can
with the
skip
anemone.
The slightly darker,
Yeah,
just to the right of lasers now?
just to the right of the lasers,
Okay.
right? That big mound.
Sure. All right, video. You can go
Yeah,
in.
this is of interest just because it's in place, it looks like.
It does
So that's why I
look...
wanted to take a look at it.
Yeah, this looks like it's in place.
That's partial.
All right.
Well, A-Team, I have good news.
Yes.
It looks like we will be leaving the bottom.
Good. I don't see much. I'll tilt up.
Yeah, what do you think, Chris? Certainly looks platey.
Yeah, it could be, again, more bivalves. It could be mixed in
mind
with
if I
some
zoom?
corals.
Yeah.
I think some of the corals back in the Cretaceous also had plate-like structures
Okay.
to them, but I definitely think we're seeing a lot of fossils embedded in this matrix.
I have absolute confidence in you.
Co-pilot,
This is
that's
so
5
cool.
minutes after the ship
This
move. Do you
is
think you've
beautiful.
stopped, or are you still going?
No, I'm not. I haven't stopped, but I'm going to be just fine.
Even though it may be extremely old.
Moving on.
Oh, that was neat.
Well, I hope our viewers at home are enjoying this today. It's quite a bit different from the dives we've made, the previous 15
yeah.
dives that we've made on this leg.
Well, totally.
I know, totally different.
Completely covered with
Thanks
carbon.
You're
for
at
suggesting
65?
this, Chris
I am.
Kelly. Wow.
All right.
Going to be on another Geo tomorrow.
Yes, we are.
Friar Geo.
Oh, yes, we are. Oh, yes.
Someone named that in honor of Patty. She didn't name it herself.
The guy asked Fryer. Yeah, so tomorrow's dive is going to be on a guyot that has not yet reached this area where there's a lot of fracturing going on. So this is pretty much an intact guyot. And we're going to go back to the manganese crust communities and deep water corals and sponges. And so hopefully we'll see a lot of animals tomorrow.
Yeah, but Chris, your hypothesis really, I mean, you wanted to look along this whole chain of guyots, right, to kind of see the that whole like lifespan from birth to death of a seamount, right?
Yes, absolutely. And so we're seeing one that's in the death throes here, and we're looking inside of it. We're peeking at the insides. And then we're going to look at ones that are still alive, but they're quite old and getting closer to the end of their lives. And then, as I mentioned earlier, all the active pillow formations we saw the very new pillow formations we saw on the last leg, and some of the hydrothermal vents and everything, that's the process by which these seamounts are born. So we're seeing the whole life cycle here on these cruises.
So Chris and the other biologists on our shore-based team, you think that the reason we're not seeing much biology on this area is just because it's kind of unstable? So
you can see right in the middle of the screen now that rougher area, that's a tongue of a small slump that has come down and covered over the very smooth surface that you see in the background. So that's a recent deposit, relatively recent.
Well, when you say recent, give me like an order of, like, are we talking about thousands, tens of thousands of years?
I would say it's recent geologically.
That's the way I talk about my sponge cells dividing.
Yeah, we'd like that little bit more defined in the...
I understand it, but, you know...
Thanks for giving her some grief.
Yeah, I take grief from Shirley all day long.
That's a little better, maybe.
No, I don't.
Better?
I'm just kidding.
Still there,
Let me bring up just a little bit real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so Les Watling said
maybe
it's
over
a
here.
lousy substrate, so
an easy way is to
not the
quickly
best
just turn it
place.
off and
Well, I guess it's depending on your perspective. But very little food, not enough suspended food. Well, and Scott Franz mentioned that yesterday, too. I mean, we are deep. We are almost 5,000 meters deep, so...
The wind and the current are almost exactly opposed.
Mm-hmm.
Both are building. So I'm a little worried
Scott
about our
Franz says this should be the realm of infaunal, myofauna, and holothurians.
The current
Indeed.
looks like it's almost 0.
Yeah, it is right now. A little while ago I was looking at minus 0.4 forward to aft. And
that's what I saw when I sat down, yeah. Yes.
So we're going to just try to look at this
strange
upper left to lower right streak that we've been seeing across the face here.
Did you learn anything?
And maybe take a look
turned
at
off one
that
LED
rubbly
lower. Where's
material
the
at
other?
the bottom of the
They're
screen.
all together.
Light bar pole, starboard main.
All lowers, all uppers, starboard and port mains. They're in groups of 4. So all the upper swing arms are together.
Oh. Well, this is your starboard main. This is your port main.
Trying to get rid of the center hotspot.
Now that I'm so close to the bottom, we can't tell.
Yeah.
We can try it again when I'm flying around. No rush.
Oh, so look at that.
All right, video. Free to zoom.
This looks layered.
Looks kind of the same as that brown circle I looked at before that had a track leading to it.
Can you pan to the right? There look like
Sure.
layers about a foot or so to the right.
You seeing them yet?
Yeah, they're on the right-hand side.
Okay.
You see sort of horizontal streaks? Yeah, it's weird
tracking
looking.
isn't great, but
yeah,
that should be better.
I see, I think.
I'm not sure that's actual layering. But I'm wondering if
Alright,
this
to
is
zoom
a
in a little bit, I
little
can
local
get closer to the-
outcropping of something
Right?
that is above the white material below
Yeah,
and
I don't
beneath
know.
the white material above. It looks very porous. Lots of holes in this. Okay, geologists, what do you think?
All right.
I'm stumped.
You can go wide. Thank you.
So we've got an issue with the multi-view right now, so we're going to put you guys full screen to the high pack momentarily while we reboot the multi-viewer.
And we are back in the smooth white seafloor. Actually, we've been seeing this now for quite a while. Occasional boulders sitting on it that probably have rolled down from above.
Is it time for another move?
Yes,
Yep.
actually, past time.
All right.
In
Yep,
terms
move is
of,
good.
Pacing. Ready for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, I'll come up a touch for you, co-pilot.
Another 40 meters at 260.
Yeah.
Great.
I guess
Bridge, ROV nav.
I guess I'm still not seeing the starboard swing arms lower.
We'd like to repeat
It's
the
all-
last
all
move.
lowers.
40 meters,
uppers.
bearing 260 degrees,
See,
decimal 2 knots.
LED lowers, all lowers.
Lower.
Thank you, Bridge.
Oh, that's all lowers?
Yeah.
Oh. Now I
Check
understand what
that,
you're
yeah.
saying.
Can draw a picture.
No, thank you.
Because there's 2 lights on each, so they're banks of 4. So it's
I
4,
got you.
4. Yeah.
Yeah, turning my lowers off didn't seem to actually do much. It just
Yeah.
and your
Okay.
uppers. Let's see what we got here. Well,
That's
that helps
part
a
of
little
it.
bit.
Yeah.
Maybe I can move your uppers around.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Let me try
Usually
that.
they're forward a little, maybe.
Yeah.
They're a little bit back, yeah. Could be it.
You want me to put them forward a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, ship is in motion.
Okay, well, we're moving up toward the steeper part of the
That
slope.
looks,
A little better.
uh,
Try this guy too. Not
okay.
seeing much change on that one.
Okay. Oh, that actually might have made it worse.
Yeah, let me put it
And
back
no
out here.
far-
benthic
pretty far
animals that we
Go back
have
over here with
seen.
that one.
That is different.
Well,
We have seen so many critters in the last few days.
Well.
Yesterday, absolutely
I
spectacular
have to admit,
gardens.
it's definitely more barren than I thought it was. I'm glad we're seeing things that appeared to be fossils. That's really interesting and
At our ship moves.
confirming that part of
yeah.
it, but I fully expected that there would be a few sponges and
Just put the
corals
cork
and
bit
some
back
more
so they
fish
look
and shrimp and things, but
Forget about it.
Okay.
it's pretty barren of life here, very
Yep.
surprisingly.
Not much at all. Yeah, I agree.
I can
Well,
actually
it's-
go up or down on it though.
Well, they pretty much have to
Scott
go all the way.
and
Yeah, it's
last
still there anyway when I moved it
down,
off.
Tara have pointed out,
it's a
we're in an
combination of a bunch of them.
oligotrophic
Yeah.
And the
ocean.
angle it's
We're
reflecting off.
pretty
If
deep,
you have any
and
ideas, I can try it though.
No, that was
There's
it's just worth a
nothing
check, so we're good. You
down
can
there
spool
to,
down hydraulics,
it takes
Okay.
a long time for things to feed on the sediment to.
Well, Scott France is saying that the deeper fauna may not like settling on the carbonate, and he experienced that with looking at carbonates on
You know, it
Penguin
might
Bank
actually just be
between
the
Oahu
bottom. Could be the
and
reflection
Molokai
on
Islands
the
in
white
Hawaii.
bottom.
even though that was
Even
a lot
though-
shallower.
yeah, that was a lot
yeah,
shallower.
so that was a
That sounds
substrate
right.
issue as well.
I'm
So
doing that on
combination.
sand,
Not enough food on the bottom, not enough food in the water column. The substrate is
yeah. Capella, can you get rid
not
of the bottom?
unreadable.
Not
So,
very
Scott,
attractive.
could it be that this deeper carbonate is softer and therefore not providing a stable substrate to settle on?
Tara Luke just asked if it could be because of the high pH. Tara, can you tell us what you're thinking about? I'm not sure why this would have a high pH.
Well, it's not a hugely high pH, but isn't carbonate about a pH of about 9 or so?
You mean water that is right next to it, or the carbonate
The
itself?
carbonate itself, I think.
Okay, you know,
Carbonate itself.
yeah, I could be.
So if
I don't know.
Go ahead, Tara.
if organisms are happiest at neutral pH, this might be just a little bit out of their comfort zone. So you might end up finding extremophiles, things that like really high pH, so very basic conditions. But again, just an idea.
Oh, that's a really interesting suggestion. Thank you. I didn't realize that the carbonates themselves have a real high pH.
Well, you know, one of the things that's really interesting about this dive, so we dove before to these depths, you know, and we've seen a lot of volcanic pillow lava and things like this in the Northwest Hawaiian Islands and some of these cruises. And then the dive to the deep dive that Jeff Drazen suggested a little while ago, we got into the non-organic possible carbonate formation in those white cliffs. And then we're getting this, which is presumably organic carbonate formation. So we're getting a feel for a lot of different substrates at these depths that might help us understand preferences by some species.
It's slightly steeper.
And Scott reminded us that the one anemone that we did see was on I think it was on a black-colored rock.
Well, here we're seeing a lot more of that yellow material that we saw as a streak lower down, and this stuff looks in place more so than anything we've seen on the slope as we rise up.
Yeah, if you look at the Sirius sonar, we're about 37 meters away from a slightly steeper.
Certainly see it.
I don't know what you would call it. Outcrop.
Oh, a steeper slope.
Yes.
Oh, look at this. This almost looks like travertine terraces that you might see in Yellowstone.
Yeah,
National
I was
Park.
just thinking that.
Wow, the colors are sort of similar, as is the texture. Almost looks like it's dissolving and drooling down, coating the slope. So there are some streaks in the yellow material, and a couple of those streaks have little cobbles at the end of them. Don't know if those are trails made by the cobbles, but it looks as if there are small channels where the surface has been eroded a bit.
We can go in here.
So, do we see any fossil-like structures in this surface as we zoom in? Yeah, I'm pretty sure these streaks we're seeing are little channels that have been eroded by some of the debris that we see in the channels. So that's digging down into the rock face.
Yeah.
Okay, can come out.
All right, we are at 4,930 meters, and
our heading is 255 degrees.
Our target end point for this is 4,700 meters. So, and we have about 2 hours left in the benthic portion of this dive. Okay, now we're coming into a flatter area.
Yeah, we have a little stair-step outcrop here.
So the big outcrop should be just ahead now.
That ship move just finished.
So a couple things also to keep in mind. These reefs just didn't have bivalves and some really early corals on them. There was a lot of animals here too. There was fish fossils. There were aquatic reptiles, presumably, although I don't think anyone really knows much about these atolls or islands that were out here in the middle of the Pacific back in the late Jurassic and through the Cretaceous period. So, I mean, we could see, who knows what we're going to see. I'm fantasizing that we're going to come across a mosasaur skeleton or an skeleton.
A real Jurassic Park.
Hey, this is Ken Sulak. I haven't called in before.
Hey, Ken. Wow.
It's like I
The
missed a spot
videoid
on the
that you were
lens.
looking at was
Bottom.
Barathodinus.
That's always been there.
Nifty. It has
But yeah,
with the same
I think it's
size
inside
scales
there.
on the head as on the body.
Here's our sonar target.
Ken, are you on the chat? Could you punch that name in?
Punch what name in?
Well, what did you say? Were you calling out a
Oh, I'm not on the chat thing. No, I just called on the phone. I just got on a few minutes ago, and I was scanning back through the video and.
So what was
saw
the name?
very nice
Yeah, what was the
video
name of the fish?
The
What was,
whole videoid, which is most probably Barathodinus with the small eye and the prominent scales.
Thanks, Ken. I'll try to spell it as best I can.
It's simple. It's Barathodinus, just like it sounds.
Video, let's zoom in on this texture.
I don't know the specific species, but it's very similar to
We just
what
stop
we
at the
have in
lasers. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, we are
Thank
seeing
you, Ken. Nice to
fossil
hear you.
structures in this boulder.
Yeah,
We're in
and it
front
does
of.
have. I heard some comment about its eyes and stuff. There was a fellow in. I don't know if he's still around or not, but at the University of Copenhagen in Denmark, Ole Monk, who looked at the retinas and optic nerves, and even though they have small eyes, they're probably very functional. So.
Okay, great.
So this
Thank you.
rock that we're looking at it looks like it's partially dissolved. The darker material is standing up above the surface, and you can see arcuate structures that look like they could be parts of shells, as we saw earlier. It's certainly, this looks like it is a huge boulder of fossiliferous limestone, holes in it. If anybody sees any structures they would like to comment on, please feel free.
Well, Patty, why is some of this material almost snow white and very smooth, and then intermixed with it, you have harder, denser material? Is the harder, darker stuff more likely the fossil remains? And there look like some shells coming up right now in the center, right above the laser.
Yep.
But that's an interpretation. So the white stuff, I don't understand exactly what we're looking at here.
Well, all I can think, Chris, is, this very smooth, almost porcelain-like surface that we see on a lot of this material is
I think it's good there.
likely the result of partial dissolution of the carbonates. We're well below the carbonate compensation depth. Why this other material is resistant, I don't know. Presumably it has either some coating that's protecting it if it's carbonate from being dissolved, or it is composed of something different.
Okay, come wide.
Really bizarre structure surfaces.
When was our last move called in now?
At 0031.
Okay, so it's only been 11 minutes.
For pacing, we should, well, to keep our pace up, we should get the next one in at about 2 minutes.
Okay. I will move ahead, and then we can do that.
Of course, that's an average, so.
We've got to keep the average to get the goal. Unless we just decide to do a 120 meter move at the end.
Exactly.
I don't know, maybe this wasn't just a target, maybe this was actually a change in the entire slope.
Kind of looks like it.
We do seem to be approaching a
That's not
steeper
really
slope.
indicated by the multi-beam, but at this depth.
Sonar from the
not
Sirius
surprised.
Go from
on the
shallow,
quad
or
view
it does
on the
steepen up a
lower
little.
Yeah.
right
It
shows
seems to
some
get steeper as it
significant
goes.
Yeah. So
reflections from
not so much where we
starting
are,
about
maybe.
30 meters in front of us. So we should be seeing some steeper terrain pretty quickly if we keep moving up slope. Well, we have the ship heading 324 degrees right now, and there's a pretty steep slope. It looks like it's got to be 50, 55 degrees or more, maybe 60 degrees on the lower right side of your screen. So we are on the steeper part of the slope for sure. And it's all carbonate, Chris. You were dead right. Well done.
Yeah, this heading still looks good on your sonar, Copilot.
Yeah, copy that.
Oh, we have some absolute cliffs in
We
front
may
of us.
shift
We
over
do.
about 5 degrees.
White
cliffs.
Future here, so
snow.
To
The
port.
white cliffs
Yes.
We could do that now.
of the
What cliffs
Geo.
of Dover?
Of the Geo.
White cliffs of
Of the
Geo.
Geo.
Okay.
I want to start doing smaller moves.
Boy, it's
now
much
that we're-
steeper
So,
here.
Patty, this very white, smooth stuff,
Yeah,
this couldn't
that's
be
probably
something
the idea.
like
We'll go down
lithified
to 30,
mud,
just a tether.
so it's so fine grained it appears smooth. And then in between that, you
Yeah,
have
we got 250
the
now.
remnants of things that were living there or
wave one.
fell into it and became part of the matrix, which are the darker material.
Could be,
All right.
Chris.
I think I'm ready. Yeah.
White mud.
For right now, you just don't want your swing arms
I
out,
would
though.
guess it would be calcareous or silicious.
Okay, I'm going to call it
There certainly is chert. There are chert layers
Bridge, ROV nav.
Video, let's zoom.
on the seafloor
actually, I'll
and
come
the
a little
Jurassic
closer. Stand by.
material
Sounds good.
surrounding
Pretty
the
far away.
seamounts. The
Yeah.
seamounts
Leadership
are
move,
like
please. 30
140
meters,
million
bearing
years
250
to
degrees,
66
decimal
million
2
years
knots.
old, and the seafloor around here can be
Good
up
copy, thank
to
you.
about 180 million years. So there was chert that was deposited out here as silicious collections of silicious organisms. But the fact that this looks so porcelain-like,
Okay,
that
can zoom in
that
video.
surface looks like fractured chert, but this surface looks much smoother, as if it's been rounded. So I'm guessing it is carbonate material that's been
Andy, try the dry lab. maybe.
partially dissolved.
Yeah. I will.
Just speculating.
Les Watling was thinking that if the block is reefal, perhaps the darker material is more quartz-based, so it's
Yeah.
resistant to chemical
Sure.
erosion.
Yeah, that,
Okay,
that
clear
certainly makes
video.
sense. Certainly, yeah, I mentioned it.
White.
Yeah,
It's
but
either
either
coated
coated
with
or
something
right,
or a different composition.
right, exactly.
So forgive my ignorance, but what would be the source of quartz?
Collections of silicious animals, radiolaria. It's the only thing I can think of immediately. I can't
Looks like
think
it
of
gets even
any
steeper ahead.
precipitate or any
Yeah, it's definitely
mineralogic
there in the
reason
Sirius,
for quartz
yeah.
to grow in this kind of
Just see it
environment.
at the top
As
of your
crisp
camera.
as
How far away is
crystalline
that now?
structure.
37?
Yeah, it's about
That's
35.
certainly,
Okay.
Yeah, but that's from
you know,
I'm at an angle.
the sediments that we collect
All right.
I think
in the
it's
deeper
this
part of the
Start,
oceans is
coming up
more
here.
dominated by
Sure we
radiolaria
don't get
that make
surprised.
silicious shells or tests than by carbonaceous nanofossils or foraminifera.
Keep coming up with
Ooh,
me,
we
Copilot.
have
See
layering
if it
though.
recedes.
This is interesting.
Okay.
There appears to be
Okay,
some
video.
layering
Let's
in
go in
this
partial
part.
on this. Just go to the till you can see the lasers.
All right.
That's good. I'll just
Oh,
pan up.
let's take a close look at this.
So
Oh,
why
we
would you
zooming?
think, this is another ignorant question, why would
So
you
you can go a little
think
tighter
this
here?
would be layered as
That's
opposed to like fractured? Because you can see,
Oh, it's certainly fractured vertically.
but
I'm
you don't think
looking
it's
at-
fractured horizontally either?
I don't think so. Well, maybe there are a few fractures in here.
Yeah, I don't
there
know.
are. But this darker material certainly does not look mineralogic. It doesn't look like it's material that's settled. It looks like those are fossils too.
Could we look down at that area that was just under
Yep.
the
Okay.
ledge as well?
Something looks like a shell. Are you full in?
Not quite.
Good. You can go in. Sure. I just saw it looks upper left. Looked kind of like a shell to me.
Yeah.
Well, we wanted to look at some of the material where we first came,
Okay, you can
first started
come
zooming.
back out video.
Yep, down the bottom.
All right. We can take a quick look down there. Sirius is moving.
Okay. Yep, we might be a little bit too far upslope to be able to see.
What in particular were we looking for down here?
We were looking for the darker layer under that kind of overhang that's projecting off the cliff. So where the
Just
lasers
up to the,
are,
yeah, where the
where
just
the
go up.
lasers were
where
a
we
little
first
bit,
started.
little bit up,
Let's see.
up of the above the lasers.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, video, you can go in. And hold there. That's good. So right
oh yeah,
here?
there we go. That's right. Thank you.
Wow, wow.
Don't those look like shells?
They sure do. They do
look
to
like
me.
shells.
Yep, that was exactly what I wanted to take a look at.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
So as we
Yeah, really fascinating. I'm pretty sure there'll be some people who know exactly what we're looking at, or I hope there will be.
okay.
All right. You can come out video.
Boy, they do look like shells.
Okay.
Thank you, pilot. So we can move up slope, I believe,
move up.
right? Yep. Okay.
That return's just solidifying. I mean, it's
Steady, yeah.
Yep,
So we're probably into this type of terrain now.
definitely getting in there.
So something to keep in mind as we continue upslope,
pretty funny to
we're
have the whole
continuing
bottom
through
down.
time.
It's just up
If
to
the
us to,
interpretation of this escarpment is
everything.
correct. So I don't
Make sure
know
we get
what
to the-
age we started out at the very bottom, but as we're moving upslope, we're moving through probably at least several million years, if not longer.
Okay, delta's 15, your camera's 30, so pretty far out there. When was that last move called in?
Last move was at 0046, and it should be ending now.
Okay.
So 5 minutes for Sirius.
All right. I'll keep progressing, so we'll be ready to call in the next one.
Okay.
See a block up here. Actually, it's a hole, not a block. Looked different on the Sirius view.
So one way to think about what we're looking at is this is a natural road cut. So oftentimes fossil hunters will actually look at road cut areas for fossil beds because you actually expose these layers that would otherwise not be exposed. And this, in a sense, is a natural road cut, so we're actually able to see the different layers in time for this particular seamount.
That's true, Chris. Road cuts or quarries.
Okay, video. Zoom in here.
Wes Watling says that this reminds him of a Cretaceous
Hold
fossil
there.
site he visited in California. There was a lot of carbonate infilling, and many of the shells were
Once you have it.
eroded away, leaving only the material that had
Nothing
filled
too
in
exciting
the
there.
shells.
It just looked neat from far away. Okay, if you go in here, I'll just pan upward. can come into
Go
the
to
lasers
Roger,
video.
yes.
Yeah. That's a little tighter. That's good. Good. Yeah, I like that. We can just see them. I would imagine that when they go to look at this later, they would like to see the red dots.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's correct, Carl.
Andy, I could
Will
call
help
a
us
room.
for scaling.
Levi's in there.
What's that?
For those of you
call a
watching at
room
home, those
as a
laser dots that you're
Oh,
seeing
no,
on the
don't worry about
screen
it right
are
now.
10 centimeters
you.
apart, so about 4 inches apart. So that'll help us, any of the scientists examining, analyzing the
Your
images,
swing arms look good
get
for
an
right
idea
now.
of,
If this
of
gets
how big the things
much
are that
steeper, we may
we're
think about it.
imaging.
Okay.
Co-pilot, I'm sure you're monitoring your tether, but looks a little weird for here.
It's that we have a loop down.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not on anything.
Okay.
You can see it up here too
Yeah.
if you look.
Yeah, you might want to take a
Yeah.
look at the image coming from the Sirius ROV. It's
Okay,
in
can you come
screen
back out
2.
here?
Is it in feed 2, Roland?
Take a look
You can
around.
actually
Pull away.
see
Thank you.
that you can see the Deep Discover, the
How
D2,
far away is that
and you can
stuff
see
now?
this
Too far?
It's about
fairly
25.
steep slope that we're coming up,
23 probably, I'd say.
and
Less than
kind of
25.
like the layering as well is really obvious in this image from the Sirius ROV.
Can you zoom my... Actually, can you
So it gives you a
restart
very
the
nice
software there
perspective.
for the sonar?
How
Just
long
the
has
whole
that
thing.
been frozen for?
Yeah.
Restarting everything.
Excellent.
It's CNET, right?
CNET 2.
CNET Pro V2.
Yeah.
Got it. There are too many CNETs.
There are.
I'll give it a minute, and then what do you want? 10 meters, 20?
Probably 10 for this.
Okay.
Not hearing much. Guess I'll just proceed up.
Yes, go ahead and just keep moving up. Thanks.
There we go. I'm going to bring you
Okay.
into 10 meters. Co-pilot, you're still happy at 50?
I'm set for right now. We'll
Great.
move mine into 30 here in a little bit. I'll let you know.
Gains look good on both.
I guess if it is dinosaur fossils we're looking for, they'll be fairly obvious when zoomed out.
I would hope so.
Maybe you can get a dinosaur named after you, Carl.
Yeah,
If we
what's
find dinosaurs, I'm holding the ship. Stop any movies.
Looks like it flattens out a bit here.
I don't know if you at home heard the other part of that
Of a long,
conversation.
softer return,
I was
so
laughing at
I'm still seeing
our
slope.
ROV pilot
On
Carl
mine out
is questioning whether or not if we saw dinosaur fossils, it would be pretty obvious, right? So I said, yep,
What's
pretty
that?
obvious.
The hole?
He said he was going to call and stop the ship when that happens. Call up to the ship.
How long since that last move now?
Last move ended 6 minutes ago.
Okay. Video, let's take a zoom in there. Okay.
Let's see what I can do to brighten it up.
Not
pretty deep.
Seeing much in there.
I'm going to play with any swing arms, try to get some light in there.
No, you can come wide. Keep going up.
Underwater cave system.
Yeah, co-pilot, why don't you stow all the swing arms
Copy that.
for this part? Just seems to get steeper and more overhang-like every time we advance.
I'm going to blind you for just a second.
Yeah, video after we swing the stow the swing arms.
Oh, wow. This guy's struggling here.
Is that full?
Really struggling.
Wow.
They've always been touchy.
What is going on? Wow.
Maybe ramp up.
Yeah, I'll check that in a second here.
Here's a view of how steep it is.
Nice view of how steep this is. Very nice view. While we're moving up this very steep slope, might be a good time to say hi to everyone out there watching. We are coming to you live from a place called Subducting Guyot 1 in the Marianas Trench National Marine Monument. We are aboard the NOAA ship Okeanos Explorer, America's ship for ocean exploration. This leg of the mission that we're on is part of a 3-year campaign. It's called Capstone
worse, isn't it?
Campaign to address the Pacific
Better
Monument
or
science,
worse?
technology, and
You
ocean
should
needs.
just put them all the way out.
And Capstone was designed to address the
Carefully.
fundamental need of
It's
resource
the ground
managers to
reflecting.
better
Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
the deepest
I remember now it
parts
does that.
of the United States
Yeah, we had
National
two
Marine
swing arms that were a
Monuments.
little sticky.
The
It was
expedition was
port
designed,
upper and the starboard lower.
planned, and is supported by
Can make a
NOAA's
note on
Office
the
of
log.
Ocean Exploration and Research. The ship is
See, look-
operated by
look at the
NOAA's Office of
reflection. It's not on the
Marine
left,
and
it's on the
Aviation
right.
Operations.
It's the ground
Yep.
reflecting
And
it.
our 2 ROVs are operated, maintained, and upgraded by the Global Foundation for Ocean Exploration.
Okay, I think we're ready for another
Other
move.
NOAA
Yeah, I'm getting
partners
real soft returns now.
include the National Marine Fisheries Service, the Marine National
You don't have
Monuments
as much
Program,
tether as you
and
normally
NOAA's
do right
Deep
now,
Sea
but
Coral
alright,
Research
maybe
and
somewhere.
Technology
Is it still
Program.
like 350 as a
In
header?
addition to that,
Looks like it's going a little
NOAA's
more port.
National Center for Environmental
Oh, he's also
Information
255.
is
Yeah.
making it
250,
possible for
and,
all of
30
these
meters
data
diameter
that we
more.
are collecting to be made
Yeah.
publicly
That's
available
good.
within 2
As
to
long as
3
it's
months
not a
after
cliff,
the
you
end
can
of this
always hold it.
expedition. That is amazingly fast.
long as it's
For
not
most of the
cliff.
expeditions that we scientists are used
Okay.
to having,
30 meters.
ones that for which we've received funding from a federal agency or a private
Shouldn't
foundation
make a difference if we just call the next
to
one in
address
2
a
minutes
specific
earlier. Should
research
address the
question
same
that
average.
we've asked. Those data samples don't
ROV
become
nav.
available for at least
Probably
a couple
come
of
back to
years until the
250.
Copy that on
principal
my way back.
investigators have analyzed
We'd
the
like to
data,
repeat the last
written
move,
our
30
papers,
meters,
and so
bearing
on.
250 degrees.
This is
decimal
a
2
very
knots.
unique way to explore.
Thank you, Bruce.
All of the Okeanos Explorers operations are driven by the science and resource management community, and they're carried out on behalf of that community,
That's 250,
as
and
opposed to
still
being
seem a little
driven
bit harder
by
to port.
an individual scientist or
Okay, after
principal
this move,
investigator.
maybe we'll go to
So
this.
through
Yeah.
telepresence, which is the technology that's making what you at home are able to see and hear in near real time, just a few seconds after we're seeing it, we're able to have dozens of scientists engaged in an expedition, as well as what I'm understanding about 35,000 of you out there to check in on what we're doing every day. The fact that we have so many scientists participating in this, scientists from many different disciplines, geologists, biologists from very different biological disciplines, much more than we could ever fit on a research expedition that we normally have. So our scientists on shore are participating from what are called ECCs, or Exploration Command Centers, that are replicas of the room we're sitting in right now. Or they can be participating from their home
About 90 minutes
institutions,
left on the bottom.
or even from home, because for some, well, it's the weekend, and it's very late at night for some of you
How
participating.
far are we from dive ends now?
But our scientists participating from shore are
290
very
meters.
important representatives from our academic, local,
And we are
and
making
state
our
partners.
average of 0.1.
Okay.
Participating today are scientists, educators,
740 meter
managers from not only the United States, but from other places outside of the U.S. as well. we have from the University of Hawaii, Chris Kelly, Diva Amon, Les Watling.
I mean, if we call them in
let me see. I think Sonia Rowley. I'm sorry, Sonia, if I don't have your affiliation correct. And of course, Patty Fryer, who is here on the ship, the geology science lead.
Seems pretty hectic.
From the University of Louisiana, we have Scott France. From Louisiana State University, we have Bob Carney. We have Tara Harmer-Luke from Stockton University in New Jersey.
For repetitive,
we have Debbie Blaney from NOAA's Office of Ocean Exploration Research in Silver Spring. Hong Kong Tong, who's a visiting scientist from China, but she's at the University of Hawaii right now as well. And our international partners participating in this dive right now and who have been participating every single day, thank you so much, are Asako Matsumoto from the Chiba Institute of Technology in Japan, and Tina Molitsova from the P.P. Shearshoff Institute of Oceanology in Moscow. Astrid Leitner has just joined us from the University of Hawaii, and I believe we heard earlier, we heard from Ken Sulak from the U.S. Geological Survey.
That's good.
If I missed anyone, I apologize, and please let me know if you're on the line. So we've already collected one rock sample. We can collect 4 samples on a dive, typically 2 geological samples and 2 biological samples. Those samples, like the data, will be made available for the science community. They're not my samples or Patty's samples or Chris's or any of our scientists participating in these dives. They're available to anyone who wants to study them. I'm sure there are going to be some fossil hunters who are going to be really interested in these samples that we've collected. The rock samples are going to Oregon State University at their repository. The biological samples are going to the Smithsonian Institution, and for most of the biological samples we've collected, we've also subsampled a small piece, put in a special preservative to preserve the DNA, and those samples will be analyzed by the Ocean Genome Legacy at Northeastern University, and those data will be made available as well.
So I think we're looking at a close-up, again, of a fossil bed, probably some type of a bivalve bed or bivalve-dominated bed. And it's pretty interesting. It may be different because, again, we're passing through time as we go upslope. And so for that second rock sample, I'd kind of like to do it sort of toward the end there. Hopefully we'll see a rock there so we could actually constrain a bit this whole range of time if somebody can actually identify the fossils, provided we managed to collect some fossils in the rocks.
Will do, Chris. Look at this one right now. Doesn't this look like a bivalve to you?
5 more minutes. That's serious.
It looks like a quarry wall.
It sure does.
Okay, want to go in tight on that?
But that one does not look like a rudis because it looks like you have the 2 sides of the shells there.
It sort of looks like a mussel.
It does, doesn't it?
No.
Yeah, it could be.
Okay, want to come out and frame the whole shell? Or alleged shell?
I was looking for lasers, but they must be a bit further out.
There they are. It is about 8 centimeters long.
Okay, so that